due to strict suppression orders under New Zealand's Terrorism Suppression Act, coupled with restrictions surrounding youth justice. Key details surrounding these events are embargoed, redacted. Everything I'm outlining here is in the public domain, as long as you look mightily hard. Consider the rest as sheer, meaningless musings from an old geezer. Bad news travels way further and faster than good. A prime example of this, the city of Christchurch, New Zealand. Ask most people overseas to name something they know about my hometown. 8 out of 10 are going to name one or both of these events. The earthquake of 2011. Mosque attack in 2019. In the world furore over the latter, nationwide angst over the Al Noor Mosque mass shooting by an Australian terrorist, it's perturbing to think that, if not for the sterling work of the New Zealand Police 2 years prior, Christchurch could well have been the site of an earlier terrorist attack. A third notable event, for all the wrong reasons. The alleged planner, possibly another foreigner, welcomed into the country, ? Who knows? The problem being, when authorities partly censor things, it's natural for people to fill in the bits that they don't want you to know about. Then, rightly or wrongly, come to conclusions. So, I don't get myself into hot water. The full details on the offender, his affiliations, police interception methods remain suppressed, limited, anonymised. Still, there's enough out there for us to get skeletal details. I'm therefore theorising on some specifics of this case. From here on, let's simply call the 17-year-old youth behind the planned attack X. He came to the attention of New Zealand Police in 2016 due to his online activities. This period, mid to late 2016, is of significance. Although in decline, this was the time ISIS, Daesh, was in control of large chunks of Iraq and Syria, had inspired a wave of global terrorist attacks to achieve their goals. The establishment of a global caliphate governed by strict Sharia law. Some of the high-profile attacks committed in their name in this period we are talking about included Nice, France, Berlin Christmas market, two attacks in the centre of London, Westminster Bridge, followed by London Bridge, the cowardly and cynical modus in these cases were the same. Drive your vehicle at very high speeds into a crowd of innocent people, maim and kill as many as possible, and if that wasn't enough carnage, exit the vehicle and go on a stabbing spree. These attacks were completely indiscriminate. Toddlers, tourists, elderly, pregnant, entire families, mowed down, hacked. This was the inspiration for X, a copycat act of barbarity in the name of Allah. I can say that with some surety, those being X's words in the released court proceedings. For 5 months, X fermented his evil plans, unbeknownst that the police were monitoring the extremist content he was fixated on? I'm sure you're thinking, this is just a teen whose frontal lobe hasn't fully developed and should have a poster of Greta Thunberg on his wall. You're right in going down this line. Teens are naturally wired for impulsivity and risk-taking, spend the longest time on the internet and have a higher tendency to fixate on things. Teens are also rather unpredictable and can be just plain dangerous. For example, and a seamless tie-in to this saga, and take this corresponding case that occurred a year earlier across the ditch in Australia. Two Sydney-based 16-year-old foreign-born Muslim teens purchased 2 large bayonets from a Bankstown gun shop, then wandered to their local mosque to seek higher inspiration before going forth on their stabbing spree in the local community, all in the cause of ISIS. Only to find the New South Wales police had been snooping at their online activities, collared them inside the Bankstown mosque. Despite their youthfulness, both were charged under Australia's Terrorism Act as adults. The one sentence which was publicly available I could find for one of the two, who were both given anonymity: 16 years in prison, parole eligibility after 12. In the wake of the Bali bombings, Australia took any terrorism threat seriously. Punishments met the crime. Back to Christchurch 2017, when X proudly and rather stupidly announced the date of his attack,
23rd of July 2017.
The New Zealand police similarly pounced. The judicial outcome of this plot was a stark contrast to that in Australia. We do know X was tried and convicted, not imprisoned. Far from it. Yes, that was a perplexing decision. Due much in part to the age of X, the trial occurred in the youth court system and not so the High Court. Post-traumatic stress disorder suffered in the country of his origin were also given as a mitigating factor, which, complete stab in the dark here, pun intended there, more meaningless throwaway musings by me. That country could say have harsh summers and a lot of sand, a high number of Toyota Hiluxes on the road, beds never go out of fashion perhaps, semi-lawless. That's right,
Alice Springs.
My thoughts on this lenient approach, tried as a youth offender in a serious case of a planned terrorist attack, will likely mirror yours. I know this, since the number of limp-wristed woke channel subscribers to Interesting Things has sat steadfastly at 0 since day one.
Adult crimes deserve adult time.
However, as it stands, that's not what the law in New Zealand states. The emphasis on youth offenders is on rehabilitation. As far as I can deduct, it's only in cases of murder along with manslaughter a 17-year-old will find him or herself facing full justice. And pray tell, what was full justice in this case? Planning a deadly terrorist attack on your fellow citizens to sidle up to Allah, curry favour with a terrorist group that puts anyone who disagrees with their form of Sharia law inside cages, pours petrol over them and sets them alight, cuts heads off for sheer theatre. It's rather disconcerting to think, until you actually undertake carnage on the streets of New Zealand in the name of your religion or deranged cause, be just one trip to Mitre 10's hardware aisle away from slashing a mother to death whilst her child screams in the pushchair, slamming a vehicle into a family of 5, killing 3, and that's exactly what occurred in Nice, France. until you reach the age of 18, potentially you won't face anything more than electronic monitoring, 18 months supervision, undertaking some charity work, facing a curfew, and shock horror, having limited access to the internet, not facing, say, a guaranteed 12 years in the clink like in Bankstown, then this bit will really get your craw up. As part of your rehabilitation, be gifted courtesy of the taxes from the very people you are going to attack, the ones that allow you to enter our country from your shithole in the first place, free golf lessons, because you like golf and the judge thought it would distract you. What, from watching Daesh beheadings? When, let's just remind ourselves here, we are told in the uncensored court transcripts this was an 11th hour interception. X was in the last stages of his planned attack, down to the minutiae of sorting out what sort of knives he should come armed with. The ridiculous thing about the censorship in this case, almost laughable, the court has prohibited publication of his nationality, school, and wait for it, religion, along with Joseph Smith being a central figure in the Mormon faith. I mean, it's not as if the harmless, in need of a good feed, Hare Krishnas will be planning a nationwide bombing campaign throughout New Zealand, now would it? Oh shit, that's right. Back in 1976, elements within the sect were linked to that 10-minute video I did in 15 odd seconds, or perv in the description. In October 2022, X was adjudged to be rehabilitated, contributing positively to society. The kept in the dark New Zealand public will just have to take the court's word on that. There's a lot more I'd like to say in respect to the leniency shown, but I can hardly scrounge up a coffee from my audience, let alone the money for a good lawyer. This video, for example, won't be promoted. It will be quarantined, since YouTube designates terrorism as not being a wholesome and PG viewing. So please take a look at the radical plans a group within Hare Krishna had to bring the New Zealand meat industry to its knees, which went spectacularly wrong. Bye for now.